The batch process involves multiple work centers or machines. There is some variety in the jobs which come to a batch process. Each job has medium to large volumes. There is a medium to high level of repetition in a job shop. The flows are less jumbled and more streamlined in comparison to a job shop. The scheduling in a batch process is relatively easier compared to that in a job shop, but some level of flexibility is expected in a batch process as in a job shop. The schematic for a batch process may look something like this. There are 6 work centers. Job A requires work center 1 and work center 2. Job B, work centers 3, 4, and 2. Job C, work centers 1, 2, and 6. And job D, work centers 5, 6, and 2, respectively. So you can see here that there is some streamlining as compared to the schematic in a job shop. The flows in a job shop are more streamlined here and less jumbled, but still there is some level of crisscrossing happening in a batch process as well. Now let's do an exercise to understand how a batch process works. A printing press has a workstation where cutting, binding, and sealing is done for hardbound books. A set of 3 textbooks, A, B, and C, is required each week in quantities of 1,000, 2,000, and 1,500 units, respectively. We can think of this as the demand from the market for that set of books. The setup times at the workstation for A, B, and C are 30, 45, and 60 minutes, respectively, while the time taken to cut, bind, and seal each unit of A, B, and C is 30, 24, and 10 seconds, respectively. So these last 3 figures are the processing times for each unit of the 3 books on the workstation. At the start of a week, the required quantities of the unbound pages of all the 3 books are made available at the workstation. As soon as a given lot of a book has been completed, it is moved to the packing section. So we are asked to find if the lot sizes of A, B, and C are the respective total required quantities of that week, then how much time is needed at the workstation to meet the weekly requirement? If the lot sizes were reduced to 1/4 of the required quantities and the jobs are changed over 4 times in rotation, then what will change? So to answer these questions, let's do some simple analyses. Look at this table. This table tells us that we have 3 products A, B, and C, which are to be processed in their total requirement as the lot sizes. So for example, A will be processed in the lot size of 1,000 units at a time, B 2,000 units, and C 1,500 units. You will note that the setup times are also mentioned as 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and 60 minutes respectively for A, B, and C. Now let's see how much time it takes to complete them on a timeline. First, we set up the workstation for A. This takes 30 minutes. Subsequently, the 1,000 units of A are processed, cutting, binding, and sealing happens. Each unit takes 30 seconds for the operation, which means 30,000 seconds in all. That corresponds to 500 minutes. So 30 minutes of setup time plus 500 minutes of processing, 530 minutes. The lot of A is completed at T equal to 530 minutes. Immediately after that, the workstation is set up for B, which takes 45 minutes. So 575 minutes. And then 24 seconds per unit of B for cutting, binding, and sealing. 2,000 units of B, that is 48,000 seconds, which corresponds to 800 minutes. So 800 minutes more means at T equal to 1375, the lot of B is also completed. Then we take up C, 60 minutes for setup, and 10 seconds per unit for 1,500 units means 250 minutes. So C is completed at 1,685 minutes. So you see, to complete the 3 lots, A, B, and C, we take a total of 1,685 minutes, or you can call this the make span. The make span now is 1,685 minutes. Okay, so this is scenario 1. Now let's ask the question, suppose we reduce the lot size to 1/4 of the total requirement in a week for each of the 3 textbooks, then what would happen? So now in scenario 2, you see that the lot size of A has been made 250 units. For B, it is 500 units. And for C, it is 375 units. So with these lot sizes, how would the jobs proceed? So now what we would do is we would first do 250 units of A, then change over to B, do 500 units of B, and change over to C, do 375 units of C, and again come back to A. So we have finished one round of A, B, and C. Then we would do a second round of A, B, and C, a third round, and a fourth round. So the lots of A, B, and C, which have now become 1/4, would be repeated 4 times. By rotation, A, B, C, A, B, C, and so on, we would complete the entire weekly requirement. So while we would do this, we should note one more thing that's very important. The setup time has not changed. Each time we set up, we would still spend the same amount of time. For example, each time we set up the machine for A, we would spend 30 minutes of time, for B, 45 minutes of time, and for C, 60 minutes of time. But now, in this scenario, the number of setups has become 4 times because we are doing 4 rounds. And therefore, the setup times would all increase, will all multiply 4 times. So now what would the timeline look like? You can see that in the first round, we do one lot of A, B, and C respectively. Here, you will notice that the setup times remain the same, whereas the total processing time for the lot has come down to 1/4 of what it was. It was 500 earlier, it now becomes 125. For B, it was 800, becomes 200. Similarly, for C, 250 becomes 62.5. So the processing time is reduced to 1/4 of their earlier value, whereas the setup times remain the same. So one cycle or one round of A, B, and C will take us 522.5 minutes to complete. Similarly, the second round would also take the same amount of time. The third round and the fourth round, by the time we finish 4 rounds, it is 2090 minutes. So now the make span has gone up from 1685 minutes to 2090 minutes. So naturally, a question arises. We have decreased the lot sizes to 1/4, and that has led to the make span increasing by about 405 minutes. Is that really worth it? So the answer is this. If you think about it, by reducing the lot size, what changes in the workplace? You will realize that the inventory levels have come down. The amount of inventory that accumulates around the workstation, the amount of inventory present around the workstation now need not be as much as it was earlier. So, for example, before we begin processing the first lot of A, we just need to have 250 units of A. Earlier, we had to have 1000 units of A because we were going to do the entire lot at one shot. So with 250 units of A, we can start processing, and next the 500 unit lot of B has to be brought in. So as a result, we bring in smaller lots, we process them, and then we finish the lot and dispatch it immediately to the packing section. So the total inventory that we are managing or having in the workstation, in that workstation area, now has become 1/4 of what it was. So this inventory reduction is one benefit that we get by reducing the lot sizes. There is one more benefit, and that is, you see, when we do smaller lot sizes and dispatch them to the packing section and to the customer demand, then what we are doing is we are making the successive products wait less to be made available to meet the demand. For example, earlier, a full lot of 1000 of A had to be completed before the first unit of B could be processed. Similarly, the lot of A and the lot of B, 1000 and 2000 units, the two big lots had to be finished before the first unit of C could be made available. But now B is available as soon as the first lot of A of just 250 units, which will take 1/4 of this time, is completed. So B can start now being available to meet the demand earlier than it happened in the first scenario. Similarly, C has to only wait for 250 units of A and 500 units of B to be completed before being made available to meet the demand. So therefore, you see that in this second scenario where we decrease lot size, because we are churning out the lots faster, the demand is met much closer to when it arises. So meeting customer demand faster is a benefit of reducing the lot size. So by reducing the lot size, even though the make span increased, we ended up with lower inventory and being able to meet the customer demand closer to when it arises. Now let's ask another question. What if we are able to reduce the setup time as well? Suppose the setup time also was brought down like this. So here in this third scenario, you'll see that the setup time for A has gone down from 30 to 8 minutes, for B from 45 to 12 minutes, and for C from 60 to 15 minutes. What would the timeline now look like? It would look like this. You see here, the setup times have all reduced from what they were in scenario 2. The processing times are the same as they are in scenario 2. But on the whole, because of the reduction in setup times, our make span has come down from 2090 minutes to just 1690 minutes, a reduction of 400 minutes. So you see, this is the benefit of reducing both the lot size and the setup time. By reducing both lot size and setup time, the work in process inventory can be lowered without either no increase or without much increase in the overall make span. Each product is now more in sync with its demand. The Toyota Motor Company, they introduced a methodology called SMED, single minute exchange of die, to reduce setup time. This effort was led by an engineer, a well-known engineer called Shigeo Shingo. And Shingo's attempts to reduce the setup time were actually motivated by the need to reduce inventory by reducing lot sizes. And that would make sense only if the setup time is reduced. And this led to a very interesting methodology, which ended up reducing the setup times from a few hours to less than a few minutes. So something less than 10 minutes. So this is now practiced by several other companies as well. It's gaining popularity as a method that others also can apply and benefit from. So in this video, we have learned about setup time, lot size, and make span.